So today's lesson is about rates. And rates, if you look in the home or in the workbook, a rate right here at the bottom is just a measurement, or pardon me, it's just a ratio of two different measurements. So they got to be different units. They got to be different units. So you can see here ratio. Ratio is same unit. So you can just jot that in. Ratio, or it's right there bolded. Ratio, same unit. Okay, so that would be like 10 grams to 5 grams or something like this, or 10 kilometers to 5 kilometers, same unit. But a rate has different units, and that's all you need to jot down for that. Okay, so a rate, different units. For example, kilometer per hour. That's a rate. It's a ratio. You can see there's division in there, but there's two different units. One's kilometers, one's hours. So it's not too crazy of an idea. This investigation, and they're just talking about texts, so people texting on their phone. So let's take a look at this DI. Rachel here, she sends 165 texts in 3 days. Express the total number of texts. So if I was to do this, I would be like 165 texts in 3 days. And don't be lazy with those units. Just jot down those units, and then you're good to go. So if she can send 165 texts in 3 days, okay, whoop-de-doo. What's more interesting is how many texts she sends in 1 day. That would be much more interesting. Because if you knew how much for one, then you could figure out however many days you wanted. So all you have to do is do a quick division. 165 divided by 3. And this is equal to 55 texts per day. And that is probably the most interesting thing out of any of this. And it's called a unit rate. It's called a unit rate because we only care about one day. It's for 1 day, 1 unit. So for example, Apple, when they make a cell phone, when they make the iPhone, they need to know how much profit do they make on one phone. Because then if they sell a billion phones, they know how much money they're going to make. So it's important that you understand that the rate is two different units, but the unit rate is for one. Okay? A denominator of 1. And like if you do any basic finance, any basic economics, you'll talk about unit rate. So how much for 1 unit? Maybe you're selling loaves of bread, maybe you're selling Apple iPhones, maybe you're selling lemonade. You need to know how much profit you make for 1. Hopefully that makes sense. So there's a nice little summary there for you. And essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to carry on our talk about unit conversions from last day into today. Okay, so here's a nice little summary for you guys about ratios and rates. I don't think there's anything in here that is going to blow anybody's mind. This is all pretty straightforward stuff. Now, solving problems with rates is all cross multiplication. You can see here that Kim here on the left side, she's using cross multiplication. And this is like if you go to the store and you're just buying stuff and it's like, okay, well what's the better purchase? Like, am I going to save money when I'm grocery shopping? So like I can go to 7-Eleven and I can get, 6 cans of pop for something pretty pricey. But if I go to Sobeys or Superstore or something, I get 6 cans of pop, I can probably get it for cheaper. So this is the rate that we're worried about. So if you look through this question, 3 bottles for $4.95. Again, you really only care about how much is it for 1 bottle. So in order to figure out how much it is for 1 bottle, you would take the dollars and divide it by the amount. We always want that. Dollars on top, amount on the bottom. And you can see Kim's done that. Kim's done that right here, as well as Cole's done that. They've actually both done that. Okay, so he's doing his thing. He gets a text. He's like, actually, here it says the wife here wants 4 more bottles. So he actually has to get 7 bottles, not 3. So if it costs $4.95 for 3, how much does it cost for 7? That's what Kim has done. This is her thinking. If it costs $4.95 for 3, how much does it cost for 7? And notice the units: dollars, bottles, dollars, bottles. Come on. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to put a little dollar sign here. Okay, and then they cross multiply for you. So with cross multiplying, you can see here they got the 7. That's like in the way. We want x by itself. So 7 is on the bottom right. Where does 7 need to go? Top left. That's the only place it can go for cross multiplying. It can just go up there. So things that are downstairs on the right go upstairs on the left. So all you need to do is draw a little arrow. The 7 goes up, and you'd multiply by 7. So $4.95 times 7, and then you're going to divide out 3, and it's, okay, something's going on. There's some crap on my screen. Just going to pause the video. Okay, so 1155. It's just cross multiplying. The more important thing is the setup. Once you get to the cross multiply, I think most people in here have no problem with that. Okay, now here's Cole's work. Rather than doing the cross multiplying, he just figures out how much is it for 1 bottle. So he spent $4.95 for 3. So you just have to do a quick division there. $4.95 divided by 3. And it looks like it's $1.65 per bottle. $1.65 per bottle. So if she buys 7, $1.65 times 7, and you'll get the exact same thing, $11.55. All right? So if you're a young entrepreneur and you want to go out there into the market and start selling things, you need to know how much profit for 1. As soon as you know how much profit for 1, how much it costs for 1, how much you're going to sell it for 1, and then you can figure out how much money you're going to make for 1. And then depending on however many you sell, you just multiply it by that. And that's from pretty basic finance, basic economics. Okay, let's jump into number 2 here. Paul here is going to have a party, and he did it last year. He's going to do it again. He's going to serve some prime rib. That's delicious. And last year, so this is where it finally matters. Let's highlight this. That's what he does last year. Yep. Yep. Thanks. So that's what he did last year. And you can see kilograms and you can see dollars. So for that rate, what goes on top? Money or kilograms? Good. So just do that. I'd be like 173.12, and this is in dollars, divided by 8 kilograms. And I'll just do that division. Just do that division. 173.12 divided by 8, and you get $21.64 per kilogram. That's for 1. That's for 1 kilogram. Okay? However, this year, he had to buy the roast in pounds, not in kilograms. So it's $10 per pound, basically. Okay. However, you can't compare kilograms to pounds. They're different units. So you have to do a unit conversion. So put a little squiggly, and let's talk about this $10.13. That was for 1 pound, LB, 1 LB. How much is 1 LB worth? It's not quite clear, is it? How much is 1 kilogram worth? 2.2. So what I can do is I can switch this one. $21.64 for 1 kilogram. But I know that 1 kilogram is equivalent to 2.2 pound LB. Now I can divide that one. Divide by 2.2, and I get 9.83. So it's $9.83 per pound. Just in the way, that stuff. My thing's acting up today. I'm not sure why. Wow. Maybe it's because my hand's all sweaty. It's so hot in here. Okay, any questions about this? I got 9.83 per pound and I got 10.13 per pound. Which one's the better buy? The old one. Okay, but it was challenging to get there because they originally gave me kilograms, and I had 8 kilograms, I had to go to 1 kilogram. Then I converted that 1 kilogram to 2.2 pounds. So this 1 kilogram right here, I substituted 2.2 pounds. Now I divide, and I have a dollars per pound. Now I can compare to this one. And clearly that one is less, and less, I guess, is better. If the meat is all the same, the meat was just as good as last year, I'd rather pay less. All right, let's try the next one. This next one is quite bizarre, but it does sort of introduce us to what happens in 30-2 on the diploma. On the diploma in 30-2, what they'll do sometimes is they'll give you something you've never seen before, like property tax equations. I don't know anything about this, but essentially you're supposed to have the skills to get through this question even though you don't know nothing about property tax because you've been taught other skills. So you have to be able to read, and then you have to apply a formula. So let's go through this, and hopefully we understand what they're talking about. So property owners are required to pay property tax on an annual basis. So every year you got to pay tax on your property. If you own a property, you got to pay tax. And the property tax amount is based on something called a mill rate, whatever that is, where 1 mill is 1/10%, and the assessed value of the property. And they use this formula here. So I think all we have to do is just use this formula, and hopefully we're safe. So Charlene pays $1,924 in property tax. That number has to get substituted right there. 1924.39. Okay, so all I've done is done reading and a substitution. And then it tells me that the mill rate is 4.6. That needs to go here. Okay, so let's leave some space and put 4.6038 over there. Now it says, what is her assessed value? That would be the unknown. Okay, so I'm just going to call that x, and I'm going to get rid of that times because it gets annoying and or gets odd. I'm going to put a dot instead of an x. I'm going to put x up here, and then I got the 1,000 here. Is this okay for people? All I've done is some reading and some substituting into a given equation. Now you have to solve. If you look at that right-hand side, could you simplify that a bit? You could, right? So what could you do? 4.6038 divided by 1,000. Again, I'm just going to write underneath. Oh, come on. I think my pen might be dying. Maybe that's why. How much juice do I got? Okay, let's give it 10 seconds to charge up here. Come on. Okay, pen's dead. Okay, so we're back from some technical difficulties, and we are finishing off part A here. So what I need to do is simplify the right-hand side. So I'm just going to take that 4.6038 and divide it by 1,000. And I get this number 0.004638 multiplied by x. Now in order to solve for x, I'll have to divide out that coefficient on both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. And you're dividing by a really small number, so the answer for x is quite large, 418,000.35 after some rounding. And this is the price for the home. This is the assessed value. So that's the answer to part A. Now what we need to do now is answer part B. And part B is going to tell us that the property tax is going to change when the assessed price is 10% lower and the mill rate is going to increase. So the first thing that we're going to do is take care of this 10%. So what we need to do is find 10% of this 418,000. And 10% is going to move the decimal one spot over. But in general, what you need to do is convert the percentage to a decimal. Of becomes multiply. And we can figure out what 10% of this value is. And you get 41,800.03. So this is how much percentage is going to be taken off the original price, because what we have to do here is find the assessed value of 10% lower. So starting with the 418,000, that was the original price of the home. We need to take off 41,800.03. 800. And we end up with 376,200.31. So this is the new value of the home after a 10% decrease. Now to finish off this problem, we just jump back into the original equation, which was given to us here, that property tax equation. So this property tax is going to equal the assessed value, which is new at 376,200. We have to divide that by 1,000 according to the formula, and then we multiply by the mill rate, which has changed from 4.6 to 5.2. So multiply by 5.2113. And the new property tax is 1,960.49. So this is the new tax, the new property tax, and you can see it used to be 1924 and now it's 1960. So it's very similar, but it's increased a little bit.